Insights with Terri Ep.182, a weekly look through the eyes of predictive astrologer Terri Ep.182. Here's Terri.
Hi everyone, this is Terri, and you're listening to Insights with Terri Ep.182. Thank you so much for joining me to explore together the week of August the 18th through the 24th, 2024. I really appreciate you giving me your time, your energy. Biggest thing you can give a person is the time, and I'm very, very grateful for it. Thank you so much. Now, I'm playing with fire here. I have my dogs, hopefully, on the porch. Hopefully, going to be good. So let's cross our fingers that they don't go blowing up on me. It's a little bit later at night. There's hopefully no reason that they're going to do this. The parrots are asleep. And let's cross our fingers that we don't get too interrupted. So, Leo is still in the sun sign, and that gives us the impulse, the energy. A little bit lazy sometimes, a little bit energetic, so you can just expect yourself to go back and forth at times and feel maybe one day where you could just rule the world, and maybe the next day you can hardly feed yourself and all you can think of is your nap. And so it's going to be a feast or famine. We've got quite a bit of time that we'll be spending in that energy field. So I guess we're going to have to make friends with it. Going with the flow, and when you feel energetic, go with that. And when you don't, figure something to do that doesn't take up much energy. That's the time to make your cup of tea and enjoy it. Doing your books, especially during this Mercury retrograde. And we're still in that Mercury retrograde and will be for a little while. It is going to retrograde from Leo here into Aquarius. So we're going to go into Aquarius, and that's going to be a little bit of a tough go here. So what we can do is we can try to help ourselves by looking back, seeing what we need to see, going over things, trying to figure out what is it that maybe not necessarily that you did wrong, that maybe you could do better, or I'd like to maybe rethink it and try to figure it out a little bit differently. I'm going to compare this to training animals, mammals, in any kind of training that you do, or education. Oftentimes, the education program may be starting to tilt, or we're not exactly teaching our animal what we wanted to teach them, or it's not going the way we're hoping. So then we have to reassess. We have to step back and say, why is my dog not understanding this? What is it my dog's not getting? And maybe go back, retro, into the last solid place that we had. Now, I'll do that with the parrots. The parrots seem to want to teach me lessons harder than the dogs do. And so maybe one day now I'll have these wild parrots where they're untamed, and I'm trying to tame them, where they'll jump on my fingers, they'll eat from my hands, and that's taken months to get them to do that. They're not terrified every time I breathe, and I wouldn't call it trust yet, but they're starting to overcome a lot of their fears. So I may have a day where they just did that. They took the safflower seeds, they took the sunflower seeds, they moved along the perch to come to me. I didn't have to present the seed to them. They moved in my direction, which is moving forward in their fear. And then the next day, they never met me before in their life. And I think, what the heck? You know, is it my dark colored t-shirt? Did I move too quickly? So then I'll take my hand out of the cage, I'll stand back, regroup, start to move forward, be more attentive to their body language. Maybe I, was taking things for granted. And then if it's just not going to work, you go back. You just stop. Go back, go do something else. And then go back to the last thing that was comfortable for them. It might have been where you offered a long sprig of millet where they could take something from your hand at a distance, just to where they were solid the last time. Who knows why or what occurred to put them in this mindset, but it's not an embarrassment. It's not your failure to go back and reassess, just get flexible with what do I need to redo here. And that's what this retrograde is teaching us in so many aspects of our life. What can I redo in my life? What can I look at and say, I could have done better, or I'd like to do a little bit better? So it's offering us an opportunity to really look at things and go through things. What do I need? What do I not need? We're more flexible mentally to look at the past and learn from it during this time, especially with it in the position that it is. And then Venus, the planet of love and beauty, and attraction, is in Virgo. And Virgo isn't the best place necessarily for Venus. As I've said before, we may get into an energy field that could contribute to being picky, a little knacky, finding fault, being irritable. If and when you get into that feeling, when I say divorce yourself, remove yourself. You don't have to stay in a situation unless you really have to, that you feel this way. Back up a little bit. That's retro. Redirect. Get your mind off of it. Go do something else. Then you can come back. If you feel the need to be crabby, picky, this isn't a good time to solidify relationships in Venus right now. But it's a really good time to understand things, to know, why is this man doing this? Why is this woman doing this? Trying to understand. So Virgo in Venus can always offer us an opportunity to try to get to a deeper understanding of how is this relationship working? If it is working at all, how is it? How is it? What are the dynamics in there? And then Mars, the planet of drive and passion, that's in Gemini, and I have talked about that to pieces. It is the time of communication where we'll find new subjects interesting. We may find ourselves looking on the internet for new ways of hobbying, educating ourselves. It's a great energy to just look at something new and different and explore. Kind of like what I do to the parrots. I'm always putting brand new toys in their cages so that they can explore these toys. I always buy toys that they can break apart because parrots like to destroy things with their little beaks. And so I don't expect these toys to last. They're not expensive toys. I make a lot of them myself out of shredded paper and toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls. And I hide food in there for them so they can shred it and find their little food things. Can you imagine being in a cage for as many hours as they are without an enrichment offered to them? So that is something that you'll want to maybe look at yourself. Do I feel like I'm in a cage? Do I feel like my life is a cage? Am I being confined? And that's what that Gemini in Mars wants us to explore, that type of a feeling or energy. Then on the 19th of this week, we have the full moon, and that's in Aquarius, as I had said earlier. And that is an independent way of thinking. It's being able to embrace brand new concepts, the age of Aquarius, brand new concepts, new ways of looking at things. So it's an incredible opportunity to solve problems in a very unique and unorthodox way in your life. So it may be that your tool to solving something may be to not talk about it, or your tool to work at something may be to pretend it doesn't exist. With this Aquarian energy, it will let us meet these things head on and look at new and innovative ways of handling it. Now, when you look at the bigger picture, that is wonderful for quote-unquote corporations or politics if they choose to use this energy to an advantage for the human race. Awesome to get to new ideas and new ways of solving problems and understanding how to get to a better place. Now, body vulnerabilities during this time. The beginning of the week, we may be looking at feet, toes, the lower extremities could give us a little bit of a go. So if you're vulnerable, if you have diabetes, be really careful with your feet. Don't cut your nails too short and cause an infection. It's a vulnerable time for feet, toes. If you have to stand at work all the time, you may find your feet a little bit less friendly to you. And so be very friendly to them first and make friends first. Take care of them. Get those Skechers that are on sale at Costco right now with that nice padded shoe. Just do something friendly for your feet. Then towards the middle of the week, it migrates from the feet to the head. So the head, your teeth, the tongue, it can affect arteries too. That will be a vulnerable area. Migraines, headaches, sinus. If we are hopefully not exposed to upper respiratory, all of that starts with the nose and the lungs. And then towards the end of the week, it migrates down the neck to the vocal cords, the throat, the thyroid gland. I know when it goes into that, I can already hear my voice raspy. This isn't my voice that sounds right to my ears. I can clear my throat, but it won't last. I don't get laryngitis all the time, but there is definitely a shift in my voice when we get into that. And I'm already preparing for the end of the week because I'm ahead by about a week, just so I can experience it and share that information with you. Now, the number that was given to us with where the planets are this week is the number 8. And that's a very ambitious energy field. And it will give us a desire for power, for money. It will maybe encourage us to take risky journeys that could maybe be successful or lead us to success. And the problem with this is that sometimes there's a lack of courage to go on to support this need to take risky journeys. So we're scared to take it. We want to take it. We don't have the endurance to take it. We don't have the mental balance to take it, but we want to take it. So it doesn't put us always in good stead. Good management and organizational skills is going to be gifted to us with that Virgo in Venus, and actually Mercury retrograde allows us to kind of go over things and how could we do this better. It's a tough and persistent energy, but it's also conservative. So it'll give us an opportunity to really stay the course and get these jobs done. But what it's important to understand is how to maintain the balance with all of these pressures that are around us. The balance in our life, the balance in work life, the balance in play work life, the balance in family work life play. So we'll be striving, or supposed to strive, for balance and maybe me time or just quiet time. And we need to understand, with this number 8, it's going to try to teach us the causes and the consequences of things. And I don't think a lot of us really recognize the causes of things and understand that consequences go with it. So it's something for us to look at. I'll use the example of the rat trap, right? If I'm not careful handling the rat trap, I shouldn't be surprised when it nails my thumb. I've set it so it has a hair trigger, and when I get sloppy and it grabs my thumb, why should I be surprised? These are the consequences, and understand the cause. I wasn't paying attention. I was half there. I was thinking about my next project. So it's important to keep ourselves imbalanced. A good example is giving and receiving. It's wonderful to give to people, but we should be able to receive too with dignity and bravery, because it's hard to ask for a favor, hard to accept a favor sometimes. And it's a beautiful thing when people do wonderful things for each other. It's beautiful, but sometimes it's hard for us to accept that. Material property is not going to give us peace or satisfaction during this time, especially if what we're doing with it or around it doesn't benefit others. So we can do all this stuff and get involved, but we won't find the satisfaction that we're thinking we're going to find because of this energy field. And it's going to give us a strong character so that we can be determined to overcome obstacles and not just languish in pity and self-defeat. So the weakness of the combination of this, there's always two sides to a coin, right, is that we have to be careful not to abuse whatever power we've been given or offered. And because it can be seriously negative, some of these consequences, we have to be very careful. Mercury retrograde is a real touchy little thing there, real touchy. And it's good if we learn to wait for our success and do it right. Otherwise, there's a risk of more failures than successes, and aggression, and toughness, and intolerance, and impatience. So all of these are weaknesses that may affect us or may come to visit. We need to not lose our sense of decency and respect for others. Otherwise, there can be some financial or legal problems. So we need to look at that. We need to look at what could possibly happen here. Now, sometimes the vulnerabilities or the weaknesses we can look at as failures, but it's not necessarily a failure. Sometimes when we don't get it right, or it doesn't turn out the way we want, or we think, if we stop for a minute, especially during this retrograde, and we look at it, it could be a building block. We could use it in a different way, a little different than what we were thinking, and how we had it in our mind. If we're observational, we'd stop panicking, we can really turn some of these challenges into opportunities. So this weakness could be built on, and instead of having serious negative consequences, and we learn to wait for our success, we learn to build on it. These failures that we're viewing as failures, and maybe turning into anger or aggression, toughness, intolerance, and impatience, could be the opposite. It could turn us not aggressive, but tolerant, tough in a strong way, impatient to get it right, but demonstrating and owning patience. So we could turn this around. We need to not lose that sense of decency and respect for others. Otherwise, there's going to be some problems for us. So this is where karma is going to hit us right where it hurts. So I do think that in some cases I've seen where we have lost the sense of decency. I wouldn't say the people that listen to this podcast have, but I've seen it. Not pointing people out, but when I have gone down south, I have been able to experience people that are so generous. They don't have much, but they're so generous with everything that they've got. And maybe not some of them as educated as maybe Canadians think that they are, but just such good hearts and good souls. So it encourages that respect for others and not the judgy kind of energy that we can have. And it's easy to be judgy. Now, oftentimes, if you examine it with this retrograde, it can show us that we think a little highly of ourselves. And that can make us a little picky with that Virgo and Venus, and it can make us moody. So we have to look at it. Are we as much as we think we are? Because the universe will knock us down. They'll teach us just how high and mighty we are. So it's a wonderful way and offering to give us a different perspective on ourselves, how we are involved with other people, how we affect other people, and it's not knocked down, but maybe tuned up, I'm going to say, by the universe. It all helps. Kind of in a nutshell, when I pulled the cards for us for this week, basically what they want us to look at was the Ace of Swords, which is the mind, a very high number, using that mental determination, like Luke Skywalker, using that mental determination to create our reality, to really focus on what we want for ourselves in our life. And it's kind of a magic type of Excalibur sword that they're offering us. The Sun card came up, but it came up upside down. At least it's on the deck. At least there is some sun out there. But with it upside down, we're going to feel some dark times, shady times, cloudy times this week, and we'll have little peaks of sun. So kind of be prepared for some of our days not to be as sunny and bright as we would like them to be. But how do we find the sunshine in that? There is going to be some very difficult situations for a few of you. Remember, this is a general reading. This isn't specific. Not all of you are going to experience this. But there'll be some that have some real difficult situations come up. And basically the lesson in these difficult situations that they're offering us is, how do we let go and let God? How do we look at this and say, I can't help with this. I have to let go. I have no power in this situation. I have no authority in this situation. I can't change it. It's not that I don't care. I don't have it. So they're asking us to recognize, kind of like the Serenity Prayer, what can I change? What can I change? How do I let go of it? And how do I affect the things that I can without being harmed? They're also saying, please, please, please pay attention to the signals. They're giving all of us signals. If we pay attention to signals, the bad things or the difficult things or the extremely challenging things don't seem to occur as much. Let me give you a silly little example. I have little ferret beds that my little tiny min pins like. What they are is they're like little tiny pillows. Even in this heat, my little guys like to go in and hide in these things. Now, the min pins are a little bit bigger than the ferret. Now, there's a little hole at the top of the pillow where the ferrets can get out of it. It's a second door, the back door. I heard a little whining, but it was so low it was almost not there. And I was busy and I thought, oh, maybe I didn't hear it. But then I heard it again. I thought, no, I heard that. It's very small, but I heard that. Now, I could have pretended I didn't and carried on with my job that I was doing, that I really wanted to finish. But I thought, no, I heard that, and I heard that for a reason. I'm going to go and explore that. Well, I find my little min pin in that pillow with his head stuck in the hole. Now, he wouldn't have died, but it was very uncomfortable for him. And maybe, who knows, he could have choked it. He could have, maybe. But it wasn't bad. I got him out. No harm was done, no foul. But what if I didn't listen to that? What if I didn't listen to the signal? And what if I didn't catch it and he'd have spent a good part of hours stuck in that pillow? So the signals were there. It was my choice whether or not I would listen to it. That sound wasn't normal. I could have dismissed it, or I could have looked at it. I chose to look at it. So we're all going to be given signals that we know are not normal for this moment in time. Are we going to explore it or not? That's going to be up to us, right? And the Devil card came up, which means we have to try to look at things because things are lying to us. The Devil card. Things are being presented to us that aren't true. There are so many things that are lies around us, and that we are supposed to find the truth in all of this, which is really hard, really hard. Let me give you an example. Everybody's after Loblaws for price gouging. Now, I'm not saying that they're not, but as the lower person on the food chain, I'm the one that grows the food. So I grow the ducks and the chickens. There's the eggs. There's the meat for them. So I'm on the lower end. Other people complaining about the price of eggs, how it's gone up. Well, if you look at it, the price of grain to feed these chickens for me has gone from $4 a bag to $7 a bag to now $19 a bag. How did that happen? Well, COVID, right? It wasn't shipped in, and the war in Ukraine, and. Loblaws has nothing to do with that. Nothing. And I'm not saying they're innocent. I am just saying that the Devil card is saying we need to look deeper at things. Let's look at the price of gas. Everybody's complaining about the price of gas. Well, let's look at how much the government takes from that. Out of $1.59 for a liter, 56 cents goes to the government in taxes. Now, that's for road maintenance. Not all of it is. Some of it is, but some of it is tax on tax. Some of it is excise tax. Some of it is, and the same with beer and whiskey. Some of the craft beer makers, if you want to ask about what the government does to them on the way that they're taxed, and they're trying to make a living too. So we have to look deeper than, like, why does the government have to take so much money from these little tiny businesses and call it this tax, this tax, this tax, this tax? So by the time you get something and it's maybe been sold 50 times, the amount of tax that's on that one item is huge. Actually, there's a group, I think it's actually called the taxpayers something. Anyway, they keep an eye on the taxes that we pay, and they explain how much taxes we're paying for stuff. You wouldn't want to know. I'd upset you. You don't want to know. So I do think that maybe instead of blaming Loblaws and having the government go after Loblaws, maybe they should go after themselves. Maybe we should look at really what's going on. Same with the price of beef, right? I know it's high, but if you look at the farmer, more than triple the price of grain to finish this beef, and all the restrictions that the government has put on in growing these beef cattle, I don't know how anybody continues to farm, honestly, the restrictions that they have, and going against making things affordable so that we can pass on affordable product to feed families. So we have to look deeper. As an example, with the devil card coming, it may affect you in a very different way than what I'm giving you an example of right now. I'm just giving you an example. So on that note, I'm going to stop railing against society and just say, wonderful week for getting information that's new, learning new things, going over things that we need to maybe rehash and relearn and redo. On that note, I'm going to turn you loose, kids, and thank you so much for your time and tuning in. And I really want to thank so much Charlie O'Brien for making all of this possible for us, putting it on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Amazon Music Podcasts, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And he gives me the link and I put it on Facebook. And he's created the website www.terriworld.com. And he's archived 4 or 5 of the last podcasts, so that if you would like to listen to it again or have missed something, you can catch up. Thank you, Charlie. And thank all of you for your time and your effort in being good people and getting out there and maybe changing the world one tiny little event at a time. If you need a reading for yourself, I'd be happy to do that for you. I'd be honored. You can call or text 519-726-6699, or you can email me at terri.coutts@gmail.com. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Insights with Terri Coots. Visit Terri's website at terriworld.com. TERRI world.com.